Dr. Contractor is an associate professor at University of North Texas and director of the Study of Traumatic Experiences, Signs and Symptoms Laboratory. She has published more than 160 peer-reviewed articles in the area of trauma and PTSD. Her works on positive memory and PTSD interventions have been funded by National Institute of Mental Health, NMH, as well as by the United States, Israel, by National Science Foundation. The ultimate aim of Dr. Contractor's research is to inform PTSD interventions, including culturally adapted interventions. Ma'am, we're lucky to have you among us today, and we welcome you to this lecture. And we look forward to hear about the positive memory and post-traumatic well-being from an expert like you. Over to you, ma'am.
Thank you so much for that introduction. Can you all hear me okay?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, awesome. Well, thank you so much for taking this time out of your day to attend this presentation. I hope I'll be able to provide some important information and maybe stir up some interest in this area. I'm going to start sharing my presentation and I'll go with that. So I won't actually be able to see the screen once I do that. So if there are any questions, maybe just keep that till the very end. I'll make sure to leave 5 minutes for that. Okay, all right. So let me try this, see if it actually works. Okay. Oh, that's the end slide. There we go. All right, can y'all see my screen?
Yes, ma'am.
All right, thank you so much. Okay, all right, so thank you again, everyone, for coming to this talk on positive memories and post-trauma well-being. I'm just going to start with a few very basic concepts, not too much time here, but how do we define trauma? What's a trauma? So we follow a lot of the DSM definitions in our research and clinical work. So a trauma is when someone's exposed to actual or threatened death, serious injury, or sexual violence in one or more of the following ways. Whether one directly experiences it, witnesses it in person as it's occurring to someone else, learned that that event occurred to a close family member or a close friend, and experiences either the event or aversive details of the event via professional activities. So there has been a population survey done in 24 countries, and that says that more than 70% of those participants reported at least one trauma. So it's highly prevalent. And in response to trauma, one of the core conditions that's widely researched and highly detrimental in its impacts is post-traumatic stress disorder. That's what we call PTSD. Again, just by the DSM definition, it has several domains. So an individual with PTSD may experience intrusion symptoms where they re-experience the trauma either through, nightmares or flashbacks or physical reactivity to trauma reminders. They may also avoid people, places, activities, thoughts and feelings, etc., that trigger trauma memories. They may experience changes in the way they think and how they feel, but in a very negative way. So they may blame someone else for it's more than proportional to the event, or they may experience difficulties with positive emotions or connecting to people. And lastly, they may also experience arousal symptoms. So the person in clinical treatment will tell me, I have to sit at the back of, a restaurant so I can see everything that's going on. That's how hypervigilant they are. Or they will have immense sleep difficulties. The symptom duration is for more than a month, and it has to cause functional impairment. In an Indian context, PTSD prevalence estimates in high-risk areas have been as high as 70 to 90%. You'll probably know that much better than I do. And then a recent study just looking at probable PTSD prevalence estimates during the COVID-19 pandemic, it's about 41%. So there is something that we need to consider globally. If PTSD is not treated therapeutically, it can actually lead to a lot of physical health problems, a lot of social problems, psychological problems other than PTSD, depression, risk of suicide. And there are financial and healthcare costs, not only to the individual, but also to the society as a whole. So it's very, very important to have effective treatments of PTSD. And we do have some treatments that do work for PTSD very effectively. Okay, so I'm just touching on a couple of treatments here just to give you an idea. These are based on ones that are widely used in practice, including cultural adaptations, as well as they're widely researched. So we have cognitive processing therapy, where really the participant or the patient or the client is taught how do you challenge and change those unhelpful beliefs that are related to the trauma. And usually they focus on the core issues of safety, trust, power, control, esteem, and intimacy. We also have prolonged exposure, where you're really teaching the person to expose themselves to those memories, feelings, thoughts, situations related to the trauma. And you're trying to tell them, it's okay, this happened in the past, it's not currently happening. And you draw that distinction there. So with habituation, they learn how to adapt and cope. And they do that through imaginal exposure, in vivo exposure as well. Okay, but these are just a couple. We have so many other effective PTSD treatments. Let's talk a little bit about the research done on PTSD treatments in the Indian context. So we don't have a lot. Unless I'm missing a lot of information, so please feel to put that in the chat. There have been studies. So there has been a study from 2008 that looked at somatically based therapy among tsunami survivors and found improved PTSD symptoms post-treatment. There's been a case study for administering play therapy to an individual involved in school fire tragedy, and they've reported reduced PTSD symptoms, stress, and anxiety. There's also been a clinical trial in 2010. They compared a yoga breath intervention to yoga breath intervention plus exposure, and then a waitlist condition among tsunami survivors. And the intervention groups, both of them reported fewer PTSD symptoms. So in general, though, if I'm looking, so we've done a systematic review that I've looked at PTSD treatments, and I've looked at them across Asian Indians living in India, but also the immigrant population. And we have some support for exposure-based PTSD treatments amongst Asians broadly. And I know that's a broad term, but that's what we have so far. However, with all these effective PTSD treatments, they lose the PTSD diagnosis, about 44 to 66% of the treatment recipients. Okay, so we still have a long way to go. What about those who don't get better? There's also a lot of percentage of people who will drop out of these treatments. So for instance, imagine telling someone, say, hey, tomorrow when you come in, I'm going to actually make you talk about your trauma. That's when you start seeing the highest drop. Okay. So what people thought that, okay, perhaps those indicators that predict non-remission, that means don't get better, or drop out, can we target those and augment, add to the existing PTSD interventions? They have modest incremental effectiveness. Okay, so they're not justifying the amount of time and resources we'll put into having those extra sessions. So we need some more new targets for this clinical work. And that's why my work on positive memories comes in. Okay. So broadly, positive memories are those that are associated with salient and personally meaningful positive experiences. They're different from trauma memories, and there have been reviews written on this. And I'm just putting a few examples here on how coherent they are, vivid and accessible. They do play a role in the development and in the maintenance of PTSD and other post-trauma conditions. Depression is one of them. And we've done a systematic review And we found that trauma-exposed individuals, especially those with PTSD symptoms, report immense difficulty accessing positive memories. And that would make sense, right? You know that they're really so engaged with the trauma memories or avoiding the trauma memories. However, existing PTSD treatments don't target positive memories. We did a systematic review of the treatment interventions, and we found that just a little bit above 50%, half of those manuals explicitly even talked about positive memories. And those positive memories were not the central or the primary focus of treatment. They were supplemental. So we did, okay, fine. Well, let's basically start from scratch. We pulled in experimental research that says, well, if you focus on positive memories, it leads to positive changes in how you feel and how you think. We have positive psychology interventions that really have established that when you write about positive experiences, you share positive narratives, you engage in positive imagery, it leads to better well-being. We also have memory-based interventions. Okay, so memory specificity training that basically is saying, when you focus on enhancing someone's ability to retrieve memories, it's related to good post-trauma well-being. Okay. So we pulled all of this together and we created a model. Okay, we call it the positive memory PTSD model. Now, there's a lot of information going on in the slide, but I just wanted to show you just the very basics. We tried to connect a focus on positive memories to less PTSD severity. Path one is when we think what's happening is positive memories. If you focus on them, engage with them, it leads to better affect, the way you think, and then also your ability to retrieve other positive memories. And that may help to reduce PTSD severity. But that's just one route. What about the others? Maybe if you learn how to process and engage with positive memories, you think, well, your fear or hesitation in doing that with trauma memories may come down. Okay. See, did I even? Oh, there we go. Okay, it may come down. And so then you may actually be more inclined to engaging with trauma-focused interventions. And if you do both, it may increase your ease and effectiveness to process those trauma memories and decrease dropout rates. And that's where, taking this model, all this empirical evidence, we created an intervention called Processing of Positive Memories Technique, PPMT. We love our acronyms in psychology. So it's a 5-session protocol. We repeatedly will ask them to relive and engage with salient positive memories to access positive values, affects, trends, and thoughts, and engage in positive changes. And the structure is very simple. It's mainly psychoeducation in session 1. And sessions 2 and 5, they pick one positive memory, and we really want to take them back in time when they experience that event and process it. Okay, so we do that with different memories across 5 sessions. So that's basically my model. That's our intervention. What are some of the projects or the empirical evidence base that led to all of this, or added to this, or refined it? Okay, so we did some cross-sectional studies where we looked at PTSD domains, the ones that I talked about, intrusions, avoidance, and we looked at positive memory characteristics, how coherent, how vivid, how accessible. And we found that individuals who reported more arousal symptoms of PTSD, they reported more difficulties in retrieving positive memories. Also, the positive memories were not that accessible or coherent. Okay. Also, if you have greater symptoms of avoidance, individuals reported fewer positive memories broadly. We also looked at individuals, we subgrouped them, and we said, well, let's look at what kinds of traumas and the number of traumas they've experienced. And we found 3 groups of people. We found those that had very few traumas, those that had mainly interpersonal trauma, so mainly assaults, okay, of all forms, and then people who endorsed non-interpersonal traumas. The people who had fewer traumas, they retrieved more positive memories and more sensory details of those positive memories, adding to our evidence base. We're like, okay, fine, there are maybe some factors that influence how people with PTSD maybe perhaps retrieve or do not retrieve positive memories. So what about somebody's ability to regulate positive emotions that come out of positive memories or experiencing positive memories? We found that individuals who have high PTSD severity may actually be able to retrieve positive memories if they have a better ability to regulate positive emotions that are experienced after those positive memories. We also did some longitudinal studies. The details are not important. That red line, straight red line, just says over 10 days that PTSD severity decreased over time. Okay, but what is most important, that every day on average, if individuals reported more PTSD severity, they reported less vividness and less accessibility of that positive memory on that same day, and vice versa. Or the days when they had more accessible positive memories and better vivid memories, they reported less PTSD symptom severity on that same day. Then we did an experimental study. Again, the details, I know there's too much on the slide, but basically what we did is we randomized participants into 3 conditions. They narrated a positive memory, they wrote about a positive memory, and they were in a control condition. They did nothing related to positive memories. 6 to 8 days later, they came back and they attended the same condition. And we looked at the data to see if there were any differences across these conditions over time. We found marginally significant effects. So basically, people who narrated positive memories, they had a marginally significant decrease in PTSD severity over time. None of the other groups showed that effect. Similarly, for the negative cognitions, or the ways they think about themselves, the world, and the others. For affect, I'll just show you a graph. Focus on the dotted purple line there. We have negative affect in there. That's the narrating condition. Over time, individuals who narrated positive memories showed a sustained decrease in positive and negative affect. For positive affect, our findings were a little bit different or unexpected. So every time they narrated a positive memory, they had an increase in positive affect, and that went away between sessions. And we'll come to that in just a little bit. I have some hypotheses there. Okay, this was all experimental work. We went into the community. We actually interviewed individuals who were seeking treatment and also clinicians, and to ask them a bunch of questions. They have an interest in addressing positive memories in therapy, and they thought it would be beneficial. They thought, we'll do that with 1 or 3 positive memories. The optimal intervention should focus on 1 to 3 positive memories. We want to track affect, and we want to use this potentially in combination with other treatments. And they said there are good feasibility factors. This will be easy to learn. It will increase therapy satisfaction and tolerability. And final study that I'm presenting, and this will be like pretty much the end of the project section, is the intervention we talked about. We did a pilot study in a training clinic at the University of North Texas. And 12 people actually completed all 5 therapy sessions. That's the 12, the post-therapy phase. And what did we find? So in this particular, to analyze individual level data, we looked at reliable change index and clinically significant changes. So I'm going to just try to summarize what that means. 75% of the people reported a significant decrease in PTSD severity over time. We had a good about 60 to 75% improved in depression as well. For affect, the findings were a little bit different than what we expected. Negative affect, again, 75% of those people improved. That means they had a sustained decrease in negative affect across the sessions. For positive affect, we saw fewer people who improved in that state. But a lot more people actually said, well, if you repeatedly focus on positive memories, it may actually help us regulate our positive emotions. And we had a good amount of people actually report that or demonstrate that they had changes in the negative thoughts about themselves, world, and the others that happened after the trauma, so the post-trauma cognitions. This is just a spaghetti plot, but it's basically the thick line is just showing across those 5 sessions PTSD reduced with some variability across people. So in summary, we know now, well, at least based on this evidence, that positive memory processes do relate to trauma and PTSD cross-sectionally and longitudinally. Factors that may influence the relations between PTSD and the ability to retrieve positive memories, like positive emotion regulation, are important to study. Trauma clinicians and clients are willing, they are ready to focus on positive memories, and they think it's going to be helpful, and they think it's going to be feasible. I did mention a recent study that just got published 2 months ago, and we looked at PPMT, and we looked at the clients who received PPMT, and we found similar findings, just what I'm reporting here. And we have experimental and intervention research that says processing of positive memories may improve PTSD symptoms. This one is just a revised model that we created again we just refined in 2021 based on all the research we had done. I'm not going to go through this. I just wanted to show you all that we're constantly working on refining a model based on what we find to inform the field. I will just end with a few ongoing and future projects in this area that we are doing. So we have the US-Israel BSF grant. We are actually looking at if PPMT helps to improve the way individuals function in their daily life. So we do 3 weeks of surveys. We give them 5 sessions of PPMT and 3 weeks of surveys. So it's a very different design. And then we have a randomized clinical trial that's comparing PPMT to supportive counseling, and hopefully we'll start recruitment in January of next year. I'm also looking at cultural factors that influence relations between positive memory retrieval and PTSD symptoms, and broadly the South Asian population, the Asian Indian population, close to my heart, is like a huge focus of my research. And so I already have 1 paper ongoing in that area. And that's all I have. Thank you. Just stop sharing. Save it. Okay. How do I stop share?
It's a small tab on top of the screen.
On top of the screen. I had difficulty last time doing that too with this computer. Is there a way you can stop sharing?
1 second.
I don't know. My computer is just so. Okay. All right. Thank you so much for doing that.
Thank you, ma'am. We have a question in the chat box. Can I read that out for you?
Yeah, yes, please.
Yeah, so the question was asked by Abhay Srivastava. This is the question. There is an unhealthy trend in the current times of classifying any or every unpleasant or discomforting events faced as trauma or traumatic. How do you see this gap? Can this lead to the development of early signs or symptoms of PTSD?
All right. Ray, you opened up an entire, this is like a 4-hour conversation on what is actually a trauma and what is not a trauma. And so there's a lot of debate in the field. People who follow the Diagnostic and Statistical Manual or, probably the ICD, they have these specific criteria to define trauma, and they can only talk about PTSD if the trauma meets those certain criteria. So for instance, I've had individuals say it's stressful, say, for instance, living with a roommate. Okay, that's not a trauma. That doesn't meet the definition of a trauma. So if you meet the definition of the trauma according to the parameters I mentioned, if you're following the DSM-5, then definitely you can talk about early signs and symptoms of PTSD. And if it crosses about a month or so and you have the other criteria met for PTSD, it becomes at a diagnostic level. I don't know, did I answer your question? I see a lot of people, so I don't know. Okay.
Yeah, the question was raised by Abhay Srivastava. Abhay, is it clear? Yes, it's clear for Abhay.
Okay.
Ma'am, we have
Okay.
one more question from Asim D. So this is the question. What is the intervention? Is it just positive memories or the ability to focus on positive memories or both together?
Yeah, okay. So another good question. Thank you, Azim. Yes, so it is the ability to actually retrieve positive memories and stay engaged with that positive memory for about 20 to 30 minutes in session. And we think, okay, that people with PTSD symptoms, if you tell them not to focus on the trauma memories, they would be happy and willing to do that with positive memories. I have seen people drop out of treatment at times because they cannot do just this part, that 20 to 30 minutes focus on the retrieval and just staying with that positive memory. Hopefully I answered your question, Azim.
We have one more question by Fatim Jafri. So here is a question. Does PTSD happens only for war veterinarian? Major.
No, yeah, another good question. No, so like PTSD, how it got developed and brought into the clinical field is because of the difficulties that were faced by individuals returning from service or end service, so the individuals in the military. No, it can happen to anybody, and there's a huge chunk of literature about civilians as well. Yeah. The prevalence rates of PTSD among military personnel is higher, though, in the literature.
So we have a question from Swati Sharma. How is the intervention different from toxic positivity? And is this not repressing the traumatic memories?
Good question. Yes, we get asked this all the time. So it is not the aim of this is not to repress or avoid, that's the term we use, positive trauma memories, because ultimately we believe that once they actually can be comfortable with their positive values, strengths, thoughts, and emotions, the core of who they are, then they can use that as coping strategies to deal with the trauma. And in fact, there is so much literature that talks about interventions for PTSD that are not focused on trauma and that are highly effective. So the same rationale goes for this as well. So this present-centered therapy that's proven to be so effective for PTSD, almost the same effectiveness as like the trauma-focused interventions.
Participants, if you have any doubts, you can post it in the chat box. And I guess that's it.
All right. Thank you so much, everyone. I really appreciate this.
There is one more question from us.
Oh, okay.
Will hypnotherapy or deep relaxation help in better experience?
Yeah, so I'm trying to think how to answer this question, because I don't buy hypnotherapy. It's very controversial in the literature, so I would not go into that realm at all with this intervention. So I don't know the answer to that. We do actually make them do relaxation in session while they're retrieving positive memories. So we do the whole, be in touch with your senses and, almost take yourself back to that place. So we do the whole deep relaxation, if that makes sense. Okay. Is my computer freezing up? Can you all still hear me?
We have one from Swati.
Oh, there we go. Okay.
She says that she would like to use the internet. Ma'am, were you able to hear the last question?
No, sorry. I think it was some problem on my end. Can you repeat it? Sorry.
Yes. So it was a question from Swati Sharma, who raised another question previously. So She says that she would like to use this intervention for my therapy session. Can I get a manuscript for the same?
Yes. Let's see. Can you email me and I can send it to you? Can I put my email in? I'll put my email in the chat box. If you email that, just email me and I'll send it to you. Yeah.
Participants, we have time for one more last question. If anybody wants to ask questions, you have 1 more minute. And ma'am, here is another question. Is EMDR effective according to you, ma'am? It's
I
from
don't
Fatin Jeffrey.
I don't know. I cannot answer that question. I am not an EMDR expert. I haven't tried EMDR. The literature is very divided and controversial. So, but I just cannot say anything more than that. Sorry.
So thank you for answering the questions, ma'am. I think that's the end of the questions from the participant side. So I would like to take this opportunity to thank you. So here is this thought that comes to my mind that I have read previously. We repeat what we don't repair. And in context of that thing, listening to your lecture today was highly informative to me. And thank you so much for explaining this new context based on a lot of empirical evidence. And thanks a lot for connecting it to the Indian context. Most of the time, when we read about trauma related articles and experiences, there is a lack of literature that we find in Indian context. And thank you so much for doing the session where we were able to understand and look at this topic in a different way. Thank you for doing that.
Thank
Thank
you
you for your
so
time.
much. Thank you so much. Take care. Bye.
Yeah. And I would like to end the session with this small quote from Peter Ray Levin. Trauma is a fact of life. It doesn't, however, have to be a life sentence. Thank you, everyone. And we will begin with our valedictory ceremony in 10 minutes. I would request all the participants to remain connected in the same meeting. Thank you.
Without an end, there cannot be a new beginning. We may be proceeding towards the end of this conference, but we all are definitely leaving with new learnings, new insight, and a powerhouse of knowledge. With this, I would want to greet you a final time. A very good evening to all our dear participants and all our presenters who are a part of this conference. We extend a heartfelt gratitude to all the stakeholders of the conference, including the speakers, chairpersons, participants, organizing team members, and administration of Shia PG College. The conference included a series of lectures by eminent international and national speakers from a varied spectrum of academics. We proudly boast of our 400 plus participants who showed an equal enthusiasm and zeal as we had while organizing this conference and contributed with their valuable participation and active inputs throughout the course of the conference. With the extensive support of our respected chairpersons, we could successfully conduct 12 scientific sessions in which more than 260 researchers presented their research work. The chairpersons have evaluated the research work and presentations made by the presenters, on the basis of which we will now be awarding the Best Presentation Award in each scientific sessions, in addition to the 5 major award categories that have been mentioned in the conference brochure earlier. I would now like to hand over the platform to Professor Dr. Aga Parvez Masih, sir, and he will take forward the valedictory ceremony from here on.
Thank you, Nandini ma'am, and good evening to all of the participants. And the purpose of this conference is to nourish and foster the natural talent and academic excellence in our younger generation and in persons involved in various academic fields. So totally we conducted 12 technical sessions, and each session has we are awarding one best paper presenter. So in this category, award is only a token to nourish and to appreciate the good work of a research scholar. And those who don't get the best paper award, they should not be motivated. The main thing is that the participation. And we appreciate all the participants, and you all have made a tremendous efforts and have put the best paper which has enriched our knowledge base. And for that, we are always thankful to you people. And to declare the best paper awards, I request Professor T.S. Naqvi, Head Department of Zoology, Shia Postgraduate College, to come and declare the winner or the best paper presenter in each session for serial number 1 to 12. I request Professor T.S. Naqvi, sir, to announce the winner best paper awardee in each session. So, welcome, sir. I think there is some technical issue. Voice is missing. We are trying, sir. We are trying to fix it. Just a minute. Sir, I think your mic is mute. Please unmute yourself. Sajid sir, look, I think he has fixed the problem. Sir, am I audible? Okay. Sir, we are fixing it. Just a minute, sir.
You are hearing? I'm audible?
Yes, sir.
Hello. I'm audible?
Sir, no, you are audible. Thank you, yes, sir. And good evening from all members of the organizing committee.
Okay. Thank you.
Sir,
thank you.
Please declare the name of each technical session, best paper presenter of each technical session. The name.
Okay. Send me the list. Scientific session. Best presentation award goes to Miss Nobby Varghese. The topic was sensitization, initiating the paradigm shift of disability from medical model to social model. The award goes to Miss Nobby Varghese.
Congratulations to
I'm a-
Ms. Nobby Varghese. Now the best presentation award of scientific session 2.
It goes to Prachi Pandey, Dr. Meera Paddy. Topic was relationship between social support and well-being, medical mediating role of mindfulness.
Congratulations, Prachi Pandey and Dr. Meera Paddy. Now, the best presentation award of scientific session 3.
The award goes to Manisha Singh. Towards the topic was towards developing New India by redefining science education through STEAM.
Congratulations, Manisha Singh. Now, scientific session 3 and best presentation award.
Now, scientific session 4, best presentation award goes to goes to Trisha Walia, Dr. Shima Aleem, Nabia Mujib. And the topic is beyond the physical symptoms of the virus, a phenomenological analysis of vicarious discrimination faced by Northeasterns during COVID-19 outbreak. The award goes to Trisha Walia.
Congratulations to Trisha Walia, Dr. Shima Aleem, Nabia Mujib. Now, scientific session 5, best presentation award.
Goes to Krishna Priya B, Dr. M. Bhuvaneshwari, and the topic was expressed emotion in families of adolescents with neurodevelopmental disorder. The award goes to Krishna Priya B and Dr. M. Bhuvaneshwari.
Congratulations, Krishna Priya B, Dr. M. Bhuvaneshwari. Now, scientific session 6 and best presentation award
goes to Lakshita Chaudhary, Dr. Rufus D, and the topic is cyber sexual victimization of female college students and its impacts, a study in Rajasthan. The award goes to Lakshita Chaudhary.
Congratulations to Lakshita Chaudhary and Dr. Rufus D. Now, scientific session 7 and best presentation award
goes to Aneri Shah, Dr. Ritu Sharma, Dr. Dushyant Mandalik, Dr. Kastu Patel. The topic is follow-up study on quality of life of Indian males with head and neck cancer.
Congratulations, Anira Shah, Dr. Ritu Sharma, Dr. Dushyant Mandik, and Dr. Kaustubh Patel. Now, scientific session 8 and best presentation award.
Best presentation award goes to Gaja Lakshmi G, Dr. S. Meenakshi. Her topic was a new breed of crisis, war, warmth, collide in Afghanistan.
Congratulations, Gaja Lakshmi G, Dr. S. Meenakshi. And now, scientific session 9 and best presentation award
goes to Srijan Srivastav. And the topic is removing problematic sexual behavior in a child with autism through behavior modification technique, a case study. Srijan Srivastava.
Congratulations, Sajan Srivastava. Now, scientific session 10 and best presentation award
Goes to Jojo Chako Pen, Dr. Jayavel Sundara Murthy. The topic is, does having a positive mindset towards stress reduce parental burnout?
Congratulations, Jojo Chaku Open, Dr. Jayavel Sundaramurthy. Now, award for scientific session 11 and best presentation award
Goes to Pulama Mitra. Our topic was understanding negative schooling patterns and their psychological implications on students, a thematic analysis.
Congratulations, Pulama Mitra. And now the scientific session 12 best presentation award
It goes to P. Swati Sonia A. Qureshi. Topic is online versus offline mental health service, perspective of service provider.
Congratulations, P. Swati Sunaya A. Qureshi. And once again, I congratulate all the best presentation and request and encourage all the participants that they should focus more on their studies and the research activities, so they should produce more better result. And once again, I am thankful to Professor T.S. Naqvi, Head Department of Zoology, for giving us a tremendous support for conducting successful conduct of this conference from the Department of Zoology, Shia PG College. And it is because of your efforts that we have successfully conducted two-day conference, and you have provided all our staff and infrastructure for the successful conduct of the conference. Once again, I am thankful on the behalf of all the members of the organizing committee to Professor T.S. Naqvi, Dr. Head of Zoology, Shia PG College.
Thank you, Dr. Pervez. Thank you. And congratulations to all winners. Congratulations to all the winners.
Thank you, sir. Thank you. Thank you, sir. Now we move to the next step. Now I will request Professor S. Sadiq Abbas to declare the cash awards, which these awards are sponsored by the Shia Educational Association. And the basic idea of giving this award is to foster or nourish the scientific temperament and to motivate the student for the scientific excellence. I request Professor S. Sadiq Abbas to declare the awards of Shia Educational Association. Shortly, it will appear on the list, on the screen. Sir, Professor Sadiq Abbas, sir. Is it audible? उनको unmute किया.
Now, am I audible?
Sir, you are audible.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, Professor Agha Parvez Masih. I would like to say a few words for late Dr. Agha Hadi Masih, sir. He has been my teacher also. So I would like to say something about him. Late Professor Agha Hadi Masih, sir, was head of the Department of Zoology in Shia PG College, and he has devoted his life for educational causes. And he has established Shia Educational Association in 1994 after his retirement. And he used to give a scholarship from his pension only. And his tremendous efforts for this cause cannot be forgotten. And the noble work he has started is still in progress by his sons. And presently, many underprivileged students are getting benefit from the Shia Educational Society. And it's my privilege to declare the recipients of best presentation on the Dr. Agha Parvez Agha Hadi Masih Sir Memorial Award. It's my privilege, and I'd like to I would like to award, declare the name Dr. Agha Hadi Masih Sir best research presentation, which is theme based, which is a prize of cash 1,500 rupees, and this prize actually goes to P. Swati and Sunia A. Qureshi, and her topic was online versus offline mental health service, perspective of service provider.
Congratulations, P. Swati Sunaya A. Qureshi for getting Dr. Agha Hadi Masih Award for Best Research Presentation, and it carries a cash prize of 1,500, and the topic of their research was online versus offline mental health service, perspective of service provider. Next slide, please.
And the other award is Nadeem Azam Memorial Award for Emerging Researcher. It is also of 1,500 cash prize, and it goes to Tanzila Siddiqui and Dr. Anup Kumar Bhartiya, and her topic was a study on the experience of motherhood, exploring the concept of primary maternal preoccupation.
Congratulations, Tanzila Siddiqui, Dr. Anup Kumar Bhartiya for getting Nadeem Azam Memorial Award for Emerging Researcher. Once again, congratulations. Next slide.
Another, this prize is in memory of Professor Mehdi Hassan Memorial Award for Best Research Presentation. It is also theme-based, and it also carries 1,500 in cash. And this prize goes to Miss Prachi Pandey and Dr. Meera Padhi. And her topic was a relationship between social support and well-being, mediating role of mindfulness.
Congratulations, Ms. Prachi Pandey and Dr. Meera Padhi for getting Professor Mehdi Hassan Memorial Award. And I am thankful to Professor S. Sadiq Abbas for sparing time for us. And we are also thankful for his valuable contribution and time and suggestion in these last 2 days for the successful conduct of this international conference. Once again, thankful. I am thankful to Professor S. Sadiq Abbas. Now I will request Professor S. Shabir Raza Bakri Sahab, Principal Shia Postgraduate College, to declare the remaining 2 awards for the research category. And these awards are in the memory of our beloved President, Professor APG Kalam Sahab, and Dr. Kalbe Sadiq Memorial Award. Now I request Professor S. Shabir Raza Bakri sir to declare the recipient of these awards.
Can you all hear me?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Okay. Thank you, Professor Parvez Masih Sahab, for giving me this opportunity. You know that this concluding time is a very memorable one for all the participants and winners. So those who get away with the prize, they are commendable. They deserve the prize for their work. And those who get away with consolation, they are actually future winners. So in future conferences, they will be coming out as winners. Yesterday, when I was speaking, when I was giving the welcome address, I said that it would be a very exciting session for all the participants. And now that it has been concluded, it's approaching conclusion. I'm very pleased to see that the deliberations have been very useful, very meaningful for all, for those who delivered the lectures and for all those who were participants. I have the honor to announce 2 names here. One is, the first is Dr. APJ Abdul Kalam Award for Excellence in Research that comes with a cash prize of rupees 2,500. And this goes to Mr. Jani Krishna Patel Alkesh and Patadia Hemant Kumar for the paper.
Sir, on the screen.
Yeah.
Sir,
It's there.
sir, first declare the recipient of Dr. Kalbe Sadek Memorial Award.
Okay. So the second, it was second on the list, so that's why. I have the pleasure to announce this Dr. Kalbe Sadek Award for outstanding research that comes with a cash prize of rupees 2,100, and it goes to Miss Lakshita Chaudhary and Dr. Rufus D for the paper Cyber Sexual Victimization of Female College Students and its Impact, a study in Rajasthan. As you can see that this has been a very, a matter of very curiosity, high curiosity, and very meaningful for considering its implications. And I would say that the personality in whose name this prize has been constituted has done an enormous job in spreading the light of learning in the society. And he has done a marvelous job for ensuring that education goes to all the seekers, and money, poverty should not come in the way of seeking education. Shall I continue?
Congratulations, Miss Lakshita Chaudhary
Yeah,
and Dr. Rufus D for getting Dr. Kalbe Sadek Memorial Award for outstanding research. Now, next slide.
Next is Dr. APJ Abdul Kalam Award for Excellence in Research that carries a cash prize of rupees 2,500, and it goes to Jani Krishna Patel Alkesh and Patadia Hemant Kumar for their paper, The Mechanisms of Evading Immune Surveillance and Tumor Progression in Colorectal Cancer. As you can see, that this is also a very happening topic, and the award in whose memory the award has been constituted is really an icon and a role model for all of us, our former president, Professor Dr. APJ Abdul Kalam. So congratulations to all the winners and consolations to all else who missed it by narrow margin. Thank you.
Congratulations, Jani Krishna Patel Alkesh, Patidia Hemant Kumar for getting Dr. APJ Abdul Kalam Award for Excellence in Research. This, I had said earlier that these awards are just token gesture to encourage or to motivate all the research workers. And once again, now we are heading towards the concluding of this conference. And prior to this, I am very thankful on the behalf of all members of the organizing committee to Maulana Yasub Abbas Sahab, Janab Abbas Murtaza Shamsi Sahab, Manager Shia Postgraduate College, Dr. M. Abu Tayyib Sahab, Coordinator IQAC, Professor S. Shabir Raza Baqi Sahab, Principal Shia PG College, and Professor T.S. Naqvi Sahab, Head Department of Zoology, for giving us immense support and providing us all infrastructure to successfully run the conference. Once again, on the behalf of all the organizing members, I am thankful to all of you for making it successful and cooperating in all means. Now, I request Dr. Sajid Kazmi sir to come and share the desk.
Thank you, Professor Dr. Agha Parvez Sahab. Before we conclude, we have a few messages for the prize winners. So all those who are the winners, especially the cash prize winners, we request you that you should send us immediately your bank account details along with your college ID card as well as your valid Aadhaar card or voter card to establish your identity. Along with that, we also request you to share a profile photograph of yours, a latest photograph. This will be really required for the updation of the database. For any other information, you all can be connected with us in the official WhatsApp group as well as through the email and contact numbers. Thank you very much.
Okay, regarding the certificates, so certificate will be provided to all the participants and all those participants who received award and best presentation in few days. See you all in next conference.